Good morning, everyone. So, today we are going to study a new topic, and that new topic is a poem which is written by Leslie Norris. And this Leslie Norris was born in England and he began to write poetry as a teenager. He joined the Royal Air Force and fought for his country in World War II. And after the war, he chose teaching as a profession and became a headmaster first and then a college lecturer. Working in both the UK and the USA in 1974, he left his job and started writing full time. He won several prestigious awards for his poems and short stories. So, before I start with the poem, let me give you a brief introduction of this poem, which is written by Leslie Norris, and he talks about a tiger kept in a zoo. The cage of the zoo not only keeps a check on its movement but also makes its spirit dim. It makes the poet sad to think about how the soul of the wilderness is suffering behind the bars. Men keep the wild creatures encaged for amusement, but never thought about how they felt. Through this poem, Norris depicts how a tiger feels inside the little space of its chambers. So basically, in this poem, the poet describes the life of a caged tiger, contrasting a tiger when it is in its natural habitat and when it is imprisoned in the zoo. We can also see that in this poem, the tiger is shown stalking around in this tiny cage, in the locked concrete cage, and he's angry, but he should be instead moving freely in jungle, hunting deer, and terrorizing the villages. Let's start with the poem. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet, quiet in his quiet rage. So, in this first stanza, we can see that the tiger is moving in his vibrant stripes, and the tiger roams around the small space in his cage. He walks silently on his velvet like paws in quiet anger. And the poet says that the tiger should actually be in forest, basically not here. In the second stanza, we can see that he should be lurking in shadow, sliding through the long grass near the water hole where the plump deer pass. Here, what it is saying, that the poet says that the tiger should be actually because this forest is basically its natural habitat, natural surrounding. Okay, so he should be in forest, hiding and waiting in the shadows, sliding through the tall grass near the water hole where plump deer come. Plump means fat deer which he can hunt and eat. Okay, now he should be snarling, the third stanza, he should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, bearing his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Now he's saying in the third stanza that he should be snarling at the houses that are built at the edge of the jungle, using his claws and white fangs. White fangs means the big teeth, this teeth, okay, for hunting, to scare the whole village. In the first stanza, you see what what it is written. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Means instead of being in the forest, he is all strength, whatever strength he has, it is locked up behind the bars in a concrete cage where all the tiger does is walk up and down, ignoring the visitors who come to see him. He's just ignoring the visitors. Okay, then in the last stanza we can see he hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Means this tiger, while he's inside the cage, he hears the sound of the cars going about their patrolling duty. We see that at the night we can see policemen, they are patrolling, so he can hear this cars which are going around on their duty, and with his brilliant eyes he stares at the brilliant stars. We can see that he is staring at the brilliant stars with his brilliant eyes. All right, so the summary of this poem, we can see that here this poet presents an image of tiger stalking inside a cage in the zoo. The tiger is not in the forest, he is in the zoo. Habitually it's not comfortable in such an enveloped environment. It should be wandering in the wild. See, this is not the natural habitat of the tiger, and it is not comfortable for the tiger also. It should be wandering in the wild, hunting on deers, drinking from a water hole, and snarling around the fringes of the forest. But the cage has made him disabled. Okay, he is able of many things. He can do many things, but this cage, this concrete cage, had made him disabled. It somehow thrives to sustain its spirit and struggles to keep it alive. Here, the tiger can only hear the sound of patrolling cars that pass by. Moreover, the brilliant radiance of the stars makes it think about its present captive state. Means the tiger is not happy in this cage. Now, here the theme here, this poet Leslie Norris presents several themes such as freedom versus captivity. Freedom means he's comparing the life of the tiger if he would have been in the forest or in the jungle versus the captivity where right now he's in the cage. Tamed versus wild, wilderness versus natural beauty. So these are basically the themes which is present in this poem. But the most important theme of the poem is freedom versus captivity. This is the most important theme. In this poem, Norris describes how the tiger longs for its freedom. Everyone loves their freedom. So here the poem, in the poem, the tiger is also having this longing for the freedom. Okay. Now it somehow wants to break its imposed captivity to become the same wild spirit again. Therefore, thereafter, the poet talks about how men try to tame the wild. It not only destroys the beauty of the wild, but it also tries to kill one's basic instinct. So, this naturally this tiger is made to stay to be in the wild, in the forest, to kill and to hunt. But people, for their amusement, for their fun, they just make them they make them prisoners, and they keep this animals inside the cage. Moreover, the description of the tiger and its movement in the forest depict the nature of wilderness. The poet also speaks on the theme of the natural beauty in this poem. The tiger is a part of nature that stands for the beauty of the nature as a whole. We can see this. We can also see tiger. They are very beautiful creatures. So it talks about the beauty of the tiger. It represents the wild side of the nature. Still, it has its beauty. The poet compares the luster of the tiger's eyes to that of the stars. He is comparing the bright eyes of the tiger with that bright stars. Okay. Also, we can see that these animals must not be imprisoned. Instead, they should be left in their natural habitat. And one message that the poet explains is the agony and helplessness of a caged tiger in the zoo. Also, he explains that what his life could be if he had been a free animal, if he would have been free from this captivity. Okay, and he explains about the condition of the animals that are caged by humans, the human beings, for their fun. So this is basically the theme of this poem. Okay, so this is all about this poem. Write down the word meanings in your uh, copy of this chapter and learn this poem. Thank you.